Hello, good evening. President Trump has spent the day at his golf resort in Ayrshire, while thousands protested against his visit across the country. At the annual Pride event in Glasgow, the First Minister Nicola Sturgeon criticised his policies. From Turnberry, Aileen Clark reports.
It wasn't really a normal Saturday four-ball, with security staff on the greens and above. But as President Trump strode across the course, his swing wasn't being appreciated by those who'd gathered nearby to protest. Well, that is the presidential cavalcade of golf buggies. The president is on the course, having his round of golf, and down on the beach, the protesters have been doing their best to make their voices heard.
I'd much have preferred to have been doing a hill walk on Arran, but I think when something like this happens, you have to turn up and be counted.
I play the pipes, that's just what I do, and I thought I'd like to make some noise.
From placards on the beach to a carnival of resistance in the capital, thousands turned out in Edinburgh to march against President Trump's policies. The First Minister, attending a Pride event in Glasgow, directed these remarks at Mr Trump.
Scotland values tolerance. Scotland values diversity. I will meet with the President of the United States if that opportunity arises, but I think any relationship between any two leaders has to be one that is based on respect and honesty. But it's also important to recognise where we disagree, the treatment of minorities and women, or most importantly, the separation of migrant children from their parents. And I think it's important that we don't have diplomatic silences around those things, but we all have the ability to speak out.
Back in Ayrshire, though, there was support for Turnberry's owner turned president.
But I do want to show Mr Trump, while he's living here and while he's over here for a holiday in his own house, that his neighbours like him and welcome him.
Just after the president arrived at Turnberry last night, this Greenpeace protester, flouting an air exclusion zone, flew very close to the hotel where the president had been standing.
There's a concern to us and to the security around the President, and there's no doubt that the individual responsible for piloting that powered parachute put themselves in danger as well as a result of that.
While that airborne incursion is still being investigated by the police, today's main security effort was centred around the Ailsa course. Tomorrow, President Trump is expected to leave the links and head for Helsinki for a meeting with Russia's President Putin on Monday. Aileen Clark, reporting Scotland, Turnberry.
Police say around 9,000 people marched through the streets of Edinburgh this afternoon to demonstrate against President Trump. There were smaller protests in Turnberry and Aberdeen. Katie Hunter has more.
No Trump, no way! Immigrants are here to stay!
They came to protest against the president.
I'm repulsed by everything the man stands for.
His policies.
He's a climate change denier. He's made decisions that have disrupted and made negative impacts on a lot of stuff that I really care about.
And his personality.
He is a cruel, horrible man, and I feel as an American I should speak out.
Politicians from many different parties joined protesters outside the Scottish Parliament.
I think it's vital because the odious values that Donald Trump represents have got no place in 21st century Scotland, and most people here rightly find them quite hideous and abhorrent.
We want to show that there's unity across parties, unity across faiths, people from no faith and no party coming together to show that Scotland is united in its opposition to Donald Trump and the values that he stands for.
Around 100 protesters turned up at Donald Trump's golf course at the Menny Estate in Balmedie in Aberdeenshire.
Donald Trump has got to go! Sit head!
There were many more in the capital. Police say around 9,000 people marched through Edinburgh. The protest ended in the Meadows.
You feel that you're under attack because of sexist views? Then this is a message of solidarity.
Speaker after speaker criticised the president and his policies. They did so in the shadow of a now familiar anti-Trump symbol.
Donald Trump isn't coming to Edinburgh on this visit, but organisers of this event know the pictures of these protests will be beamed around the world.
Trump spends a lot of time trying to big up his Scottish connections. And it's really important that actually we say loud and clear to the world that these aren't true, that we don't love Trump, that we think his politics are abhorrent, and actually he and his politics aren't welcome here.
Organisers of today's protest hope they've sent a powerful message to the most powerful man on the planet. Katie Hunter, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
Well, the President and the First Lady Melania are staying another night at his Turnberry Golf Resort. Tomorrow they're expected to head to the Finnish capital, Helsinki, for summit talks with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Well, David Henderson is at Turnberry for us tonight. And David, how has the President's short visit been received so far?
Well, he's divided opinion as usual. You know, a calm has now descended on Turnberry. Security is still very, very tight here, as you would expect, but we haven't seen a repeat of those extraordinary scenes we saw last night when the paraglider managed to zoom right down the front of the Trump Hotel just as Donald Trump was out on the doorstep enjoying the sunset. But nonetheless, it has been a very unusual day with Donald Trump out on the golf course as if on holiday, while all the time surrounded by hundreds of police officers and police marksmen guarding his every move, and the President still finding time to wave across the perimeter to the protesters as if they were long-lost friends. So we're drawing towards the end of a very eventful mini break. Donald Trump preparing to fly off from Prestwick Airport again tomorrow, this time for the next leg of his journey to Helsinki to meet the Russian President Vladimir Putin.
David, thank you. In today's other news, the leader of Glasgow City Council wants Orange Order parades to be rerouted away from the church where a sectarian attack took place on the priest. Susan Aitken says if the Orange Order doesn't make the change, the council will force the issue. A spokesman for the order said they'd be happy to discuss it. Tennis, and Scotland's Gordon Reid and his partner Alfie Hewitt have won a third successive wheelchair doubles title at Wimbledon. The victory marked an 8th Grand Slam doubles title for Reid.
It's a really exciting time for the sport and a really exciting time to be a part of that, involved in that. And you know, when we can get the opportunity to showcase it to a wider audience, it means that we're hopefully going to inspire more younger kids that might have a disability or aren't active to pick up a sport, even if it's not tennis. So that's why it means so much to us.
Golf, and the home favourite Russell Knox is 2 shots off the leader after 3 rounds of Scottish Open golf at Gullin. The Inverness player sits on 11 under par after carding a 66 today. Jens Dantorp of Sweden leads the field. He birdied the last 3 holes to move a shot clear of 6 players.
I feel the support. I mean, I don't feel any extra pressure though. I mean, I got nothing to lose. I mean, yeah, I mean, of course I want to win this tournament. But I mean, I just won last week, so I got nothing to lose tomorrow, everything to gain. So I mean, I'm going to feel great tomorrow, hopefully, and the crowd will be behind me and Stevie, obviously.
Now, Judith Ralston has weather forecasts.
A very good evening to you. Today turned out to be a pretty fine day and warm too in the sunshine, and we saw some beautiful blue skies across eastern Scotland in particular. But the northwest Highlands saw cloudier skies with some outbreaks of rain. That will continue to be the case as we head through the overnight period as well. But it stays dry for southern and eastern parts, and it will be a humid night. Lows of around 14 to 16 Celsius, noticeably humid. Tomorrow starts off dry for southern and eastern Scotland. We'll see some early brightness too, particularly for the east coast. Cloud increasing all the while from the west with some outbreaks of rain following on. Some heavy bursts within its mix initially, particularly across western Scotland. Come the afternoon, it will be sort of drizzly across the Northern Isles and fairly cloudy as well, but still very much warm here, 17 to 20 Celsius, as you can see, for Orkney. And the northeast, maybe not seeing any rain for the east coast itself. Some sunshine, temperatures here 23 degrees. Eastern coastal areas probably catching the sun. Further west, though, you are likely to see outbreaks of rain or drizzle at times, but still that humid feel in the air. And we'll see the back edge of that rain across the Western Isles and the far northwest later in the afternoon. As we head through the afternoon and into the evening, that rain pushes away to the east. Again, very little rain right on the east coast itself, leaving us with a fairly cloudy night, some outbreaks of rain and drizzle here and there. Let's look at the pressure chart. Here's the weather front responsible for that rain. Now on Monday, it pushes away into the North Sea, allowing a fresher field to come in from the Atlantic, the type of weather we're more used to actually. So as Monday starts off with a band of rain lying across eastern Scotland. Initially it'll be cloudy here and it will be quite humid here as well first thing, but as that moves away into the North Sea, we start to introduce cooler or fresher air from the Atlantic and plenty of dry weather in the forecast. We're likely to see 1 or 2 showers breaking out during the course of the afternoon, but you'll certainly notice the difference in the temperatures. We're looking at highs for around about 20 Celsius, around about 16 or 17 for the Isles. That's your forecast.
Sunday Politics Scotland is here at 11:30 tomorrow morning, but from all of us, have a good night. Bye-bye.